Hi. Hi, good evening, everyone. This is Mayor Sean Patterson Howard, and we are here for our Tuesday update. Tonight, we have joining us Mr. Dwayne Brown, who is the former head of the Mount Vernon Chamber of Commerce. Dwayne is an entrepreneur, a longstanding entrepreneur here in the city of Mount Vernon. He owns D&K Events as well as Double Door, which provides catering and entertainment services, party planning, event planning services. And we also are joined tonight by our former councilman, Stephen Horton. Mr. Horton was councilman for 16 years. He served as president of the city council 4 times, but then he also worked for many years as the director of the New Rochelle Municipal Housing Authority. And so he has a long history in government service. And for the, past maybe 10 years at least, Steve, or
yes,
he's been working as an entrepreneur, really working with developers and business development here in the city of Mount Vernon. And so we are happy to have them here with us tonight. I just want to take a few minutes to give a few updates before we jump in, but we will be talking tonight about the phase 1 reopening of the Mid-Hudson Valley region. Of course, Mount Vernon is included in the Mid-Hudson Valley region, and we just want to help people understand a little more about what phase 1 looks like and how we are going to be moving forward here in the city of Mount Vernon. So I just want, please take a moment. Please take a moment right now to go on your Facebook stream, which you're watching now, and share this video so that friends can see it and they can watch. We want to make sure that people are getting information. One of the most important things that are happening right now in the city of Mount Vernon and across the country is the census. We really, really need people to complete the census. Mount Vernon still has less than a 50% response rate. We have the lowest in the county. We've traditionally had the lowest in the county, but just because we've always been last does not mean that we want to continue to stay last. The census is how the federal government, the state government, the county government determine how they dispense monies to us. And so if we are undercounted, then there's a lot of monies that we are not eligible for. So it is critical that people complete the census. We are not going to have right now, people are very used to enumerators coming and knocking on their doors. And that's where a lot of our census numbers came from. That is not the game plan this year because of COVID. COVID has changed everything. And so we have to work with people to get the census done online through www.2020census.gov. Or you could also go on, you can make a phone call to the census from 7 a.m. to 2 a.m. at 1-844-330-2020, 1-844-330-2020. And if you are Spanish speaking and you need to complete your census on the telephone with a Spanish speaking individual to help you, then you call 1-844-436-2020. So 1-844-426-2020. The money from the census and the monies we receive from the federal government help us to repair our bridges, our roads, help us with police and fire services and DPW services, help us with our education, youth programs, senior programs, food programs, medical and mental health programs, job training programs, reentry programs, anything that the federal government and the state and the county government is giving and dispensing money for. The census directly ties into that. And the census is only done once every 10 years. And so if we do not count the people in our community right now, we are going to lose hundreds of millions of dollars over the next 10 years. And we can ill afford to do that. And then people will spend the next 10 years asking the government leaders, well, what are you going to do for the community? And what I'm asking you right now is, what are you going to do for the community? If you have 2 people in your house is potentially worth over $5,000 to the city of Mount Vernon. If you have 8 people in your house, for each person, we're looking at $2,750. that the community can potentially receive per person in your house. And so that's important. That's really critically important that we participate in the census. This is not about getting in your business. As I've said before, you always want people in your business when you want help with housing, when you want affordable housing, when you want better shopping districts, when you want better schools. Then it's like, well, this is about my family and my business. Well, be about your family and your business right now, and please complete the census. It is critically important. Another update, just really quickly. If you're interested in volunteering for our census phone bank, then you can reach us at 914-840-4039, 914-840-4039. We will have volunteers help us make phone calls to people and help walk them through the census, get them to take the census. This is going to have to be a full community effort. We need all of our pastors, our neighborhood associations, our PTAs, our civic groups, anyone that has a group or friends here, people who have family here, pick up the phone call your contacts, e-blast something out through your email contacts, send out a text blast, let people know that the census is here and that Mount Vernonites need to be counted. You do not have to be a US citizen in order to be eligible for census counting, but we have to do it. Another update, I just wanted to say thank you again yesterday for an amazing Memorial Day motorcade that we had. Yes, it was. I mean, from whether it was Shift Masters or the Mount Vernon Classic Car Club, we had two groups from Queens and Long Island. We had the Fat Boys Motorcycle Club, as well as High Rollers and Forsaken. We had our DPW, police, fire, Department of Recreation, of course, our Veterans Service Agency, our Emergency Operations Center, the Office of Mayor and staff from there. And just some of our elected officials came out in the morning to our ceremony. And then we had other elected officials, former elected officials, school board officials. People just came out and participated in the motorcade that had over 150 cars and motorcycles in it. It was incredible. We wrapped ourselves around the block. It was just really, really a big day, and people were excited. We couldn't have a traditional parade, but we brought a motorcade throughout so many of the neighborhoods in the city. And it was just great to go up and down the blocks and see people come out of their house, stand in their windows, stand in their doors, and cheer and honor our fallen heroes who have valiantly served our country, and letting them know that they were not forgotten. We have today started alternate side of the street parking. We know that a lot of people didn't move their cars, but alternate side of the street parking has started today, and it will continue throughout the week and the weeks going forward. We've seen and we know that a lot of people are very frustrated, but we've had 12 weeks of no alternate side of the street parking. We have to clean our streets. People have said, well, why don't you just get the residents to go out and clean their streets? Well, they haven't cleaned the streets for the last 12 weeks, and we can't depend on the residents to go outside and clean the streets going forward. We have to get all of the debris up out of the streets, else we're gonna have another problem with vermin, as well as our sewer systems backing up because of what's going down into the sewers. So we need to re-implement alternate side of the street parking. You know the schedule based on your neighborhood, so we're asking that you follow it. Right now in the month of May and June, alternate side of the street parking will begin at 9 a.m. But as of July 7th, alternate side of the street parking will go back to 8 a.m. so that we can have adequate times to address our residential neighborhoods as we do the commercial and the business districts from 4 a.m. to 7 a.m. And then residential neighborhoods will be from 8 a.m. To noon. So alternate side of the street parking will resume its old time at 8 a.m. in July, but right now, alternate side of the street parking is at 9 a.m. So you have to move your cars from 9 a.m. to 12 noon. We have spoken to Superintendent Ken Hamilton, and as he stated at the beginning of the COVID crisis, that people could park their cars in the school parking lot. So look, we know that that is not going to work for everyone, but we need you to move your cars. And yes, we are giving a little grace today and maybe for a few days, but I promise you we will be enforcing alternate side of the street parking with tickets. This is what we need to do. No, this is not how we're trying to get revenue, but we cannot just wait until everything opens up and everyone goes back to work. We have to reinstitute alternate side of the street parking. There are many other communities that have already reinstituted it. Mount Vernon, knowing that we're a dense city, we tried to wait as long as we can, but we cannot wait any longer. And so I'm sorry for the inconvenience that it causes you, but trust me, we're all affected by it and we're all going to have to abide by it. We have a food distribution at the Dole Center that will be happening on Friday starting at 3:30 p.m. The Dole Center, which is 250 South 6th Avenue. That's going to be fresh produce. That's going to be some non-perishable items. But we do have our food distribution happening on Friday. COVID testing sites are available at Mount Vernon Hospital Monday through Friday from 8:30 a.m. to 7 p.m. and available at Mount Vernon Hospital. It's COVID testing as well as the antibody testing. And if you're just interested in the COVID testing by itself, that's Mount Vernon Neighborhood Health Center, Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. They are also providing antibody testing at the Neighborhood Health Center, but you're supposed to be a patient of the health center. You have to register to be a patient of the health center. Now, if you want a COVID antibody test and you already have a doctor, you could still register. It doesn't mean you need to change your services there, but they have to capture how many people they are serving. So they will put you through a basic registration so that they can clearly have everyone counted that they're providing services to. So just as Dwayne is getting ready to get up and step away, we're ready to get to the part of the conversation that we want to really focus on tonight. And that is, as of today, the Mid-Hudson Valley region has become eligible to reopen our communities at phase 1. And again, what does phase 1 mean? Phase 1 means that our manufacturing, construction, those industries are able to open. Our retail businesses are reopening, but they're not opening fully. Please hear me. The retail businesses are opening, but they are opening for the next 2 weeks for curbside service. So you're not able to enter the shoe stores, the clothing stores, all of the different stores right now. You're doing curbside pickup. You can call those stores and order and then pick up at curbside, or you can go there and tell them what you want them to run and get you, and they can bring it to you at the door and give it to you. So retailers, please know that our Essential Business Task Force and our COVID Task Force will be out there. And if you are operating outside of the guidelines, we will be addressing that. We will either shut you down or we will issue you a ticket. We have given all of the warnings out over the last few months, and so we have to move forward. Everyone knows the rules right now, and we ask that you respectfully abide by the rules so that we don't have to fine you. We're not looking to fine you. That's not the way we're looking to bring revenue into the coffers of City Hall. But if you're not following the rules, and you're, potentially putting the public health at risk, then we're going to have to deal with that. One of the things that we need people to understand is that if we don't reopen right and they see a spike in cases, the governor's going to absolutely start shutting regions down again. And Mount Vernon does not want to be the reason why Westchester or our region gets shut down. And so that we are asking for all of our businesses, for our manufacturers, for our professional services people, restaurants, clubs, neighborhood groups, churches. We're asking that people really, really cooperate and work with us. We're not trying to make this hard on you. We want to make sure that after we have spent 12 weeks being isolated and socially distant and staying in the house, and many of our businesses have lost revenue, which is going to be very hard to recapture, that we reopen in a way that is responsible and is going to really make sure that we're maintaining the public health and the flattening of the curve. If not, then we're going to turn around and have to go back to square one. And that is just not going to be healthy. And it's going to cause our region and our community to lose more money. So please work with us. And that's why we have Steve and Dwayne on the line now. So Steve, I know you work with a lot of people in construction and business development. How has this been impacting that industry? And how are your clients feeling about the reopening of the Hudson Valley for construction?
Sure. Well, at the upper level, Mayor, first and foremost, let me just take a few moments to thank you for the leadership that you have exhibited and demonstrated to this community. I know you want me to talk about the economics, and I'm going to get to
Like,
that
stop.
soon.
Yeah.
But we've seen at the national level what poor leadership looks like, and we're fortunate to have good leadership here locally. So on behalf of all of the listeners, I want to thank you very much for that. So we definitely are in uncharted territory when it comes to real estate and economic development. Some of it, I think you can readily surmise, and others of it will take some time to shake out. Now, when we look at Mount Vernon, for example, we know that we are a particularly vulnerable community. We know, for example, that we have an issue with zombie homes in Mount Vernon. Mm-hmm. Well, the zombie homes is the 12-year-old legacy of the subprime mortgage and predatory lending that took place right before the economic crisis of 2008. That's where the majority of us, our zombie homes are coming from. So here, 12 years later, we're still dealing with the legacy of the fallout of the economic carnage that swept across this country. So we don't yet know how deep the pain will be, but we do know that for communities like Mount Vernon, we are particularly vulnerable. Let me just talk for a brief moment about one of the projects that's currently under construction in the Fleetwood neighborhood, one that I'm familiar with, having worked on it as a consultant, 42 West Broad Street. So when 42 West Broad Street closed down for construction pursuant to the governor's executive order, out of the 85 folks who were employed there and working there on a daily basis, approximately 35 to 40 of those residents of those workers were Mount Vernon residents. So they were sent home and have been home since the end of March. And we're not quite sure how they're working out with their payment protection enrollment and things of that nature. But we all know that nothing beats a paycheck. So some 40% of the workforce at the time of the shutdown were Mount Vernon residents. And we're glad that they will now be getting back to work. Also, because that project was without any type of tax abatements, all of the sales taxes from the construction materials being delivered there translates at a roughly 3 or 4%. You're more of an expert on what the sales tax rate in the city of Mount Vernon is than I am, but that percentage, around 4%, is being paid directly into the coffers of the city of Mount Vernon. So we're going to be topping off the building. The building is 13 stories now. We're going to be going up to the full 16 stories, putting the windows and the roof on, making the building watertight and weatherproof, and then commencing with the interior renovations. But that will be an economic engine. When we looked at 2008 and President Obama's recovery program, we know that the term shovel ready was a word that all municipalities were familiar with because a lot of the funding went to those projects that were shovel ready. So it's important for the city of Mount Vernon that we have similarly situated projects where construction can help lead the city out of the economic hole that the COVID crisis has put us in.
Absolutely. I mean, that's just very important. As you said, just that one construction project was 35 to 40 jobs of Mount Vernonites. There are construction projects that have been happening around Mount Vernon, large and small, whether it is on residential homes, multifamily dwellings, larger housing developments like this, that in the construction industry, a lot of jobs were lost. And so we're glad that the construction industry is reopening. And as you said, so that this economic engine can move forward, that we can get people moved into those buildings, that the stores that are on the ground floors of those buildings can come in and create more jobs for the community, as well as increase our sales tax revenue for the city. So, all of those things are very important, are critically important. And so we are happy that our construction industry is back to work. Another one.
Exactly. And Mayor, I just wanted to also add one of the economic activities permitted in the phase one rollout is manufacturing, as well as construction. Manufacturing also plays to the city of Mount Vernon's strength. We do still have a pretty significant manufacturing sector in the city of Mount Vernon, and that gets to crank back up, and that runs the spectrum from all of the assembly businesses to the heavy manufacturing. And so that's a big plus as well. So the phase one, I heard a little bit your public announcement to the retail sector about how to employ self practices, and certainly the retail sector is an important sector, but manufacturing and construction plays to Mount Vernon's strength as well. So we're glad to see that those activities have started.
Yeah, I mean, actually, retail is not necessarily a part of phase one. They have limited openings, but that's what people see the most. So on the ground level, as they move around the community, they're not always paying attention to construction and manufacturing, but we know that those have been fully opened, even on construction sites. So everyone has to understand that regardless of what phase you are in, that you have to complete and have certified a safety plan for reopening. So if you're on construction sites, if you're in professional or personal care like beauty and barber, if you are in retail, every business and every industry and churches are going to have to complete these safety plans and show how you're going to incorporate social distancing. You know, what are your rules and regulations around personal protective equipment, masks, gloves, things of that nature, the things that are needed in order to maintain a flat line amongst COVID cases here in the community. So businesses of all industries and of all sizes, from your mom and pop kitchen table organizations to your multi-million-dollar corporations that are doing business here, everyone is going to have a public safety plan that they have to complete. And the city of Mount Vernon will be coming to check these public health plans to ensure that the public health and the safety of our community is the priority of our business community, and that we are not putting profits and dollars before the public health. Because if we don't have a community that is healthy, we're not going to have a community that's profitable. We know the millions and millions of dollars that have been lost in our community over these past 12 weeks of this shutdown, and we cannot continue in that vein. So we want to protect the employees of all of these companies and businesses, and we want to protect the greater public good of our community. So we will be working with all of our industries and all of our businesses to ensure that they are properly informed, that they have proper standard operating procedures and protocols in place to reduce the risk of the spread of COVID and ensure that their environments are safe. And we're going to come back to you in a little bit, Steve, I promise. And we're going to just kind of jump on over here to Dwayne Brown right now. As I said, Dwayne is the former head of the Chamber of Commerce here in Mount Vernon, and he is a business owner. But he, over these past 12 weeks, I have to say it publicly, Dwayne, you've been on this show with me a few times as we've spoken to people in different industries, and you have served as a voluntary liaison to the business community. It's nothing that I asked you to do, but you saw that there was a need. You saw that there was a need for a better bridge between businesses and government, and you stepped up to the plate and continue to work with us to really reach out to our business sector. So I want to say thank you officially and publicly, and you take it from here. So what's been?
I mean, you know, it's an honor. And Steve, what's up, my guy? You know,
good to see you, my friend.
I've been mentored by Steve for years, so it just falls into place for me, and it is what it is. It's just, you see the work, you do the work. The other stuff is not really necessary. You know, I'm good. The business community, we been able to. I help because I'm in phase 4, right? My wife and my family opened up an event planning company. We're in phase 4, so for me to get to phase 4, I got to make sure 1, 2, and 3 is running. So, I mean, it's a no-brainer for me to be a part of helping everybody else get right. You know, making sure they communicate with you, making sure they know the laws, making sure, you know, their needs are concerned, because, you know, the curbside, downside, you know, some people are watching their dreams blow up in their face. So there's a certain level of compassion you must have when we're talking to people and dealing with people, you know. Their dreams is literally like, we went to see a manufacturer today, and first time he's been open in 2 months, but his concern was, okay, I'm open now, but is the person that's buying from me is going to be open to buy from me? So it's a triple effect. It's not just, yeah, I'm open, but is Johnny down the block still can buy the product he was buying from me? So, you know, it's a process. Mount Vernon is a great city. Talking to the business community all the time about how can I help them succeed? How can I help you relate to them? So being in the middle and being on both sides of the fence, it's a unique position, and I honor that position. It's not something that everybody can do. So, you know, understand how government works and letting government understand how entrepreneurial minds work is a delicate balance, right, Steve? And we
absolutely
try to monitor that.
When y'all stay on me, y'all stay on me. I mean,
you know,
y'all
it's only
are great
right.
advocates for the business sector.
It's only right. And then the business has a responsibility to the community. I'm from here, so I just don't have a business here and I don't care. So yeah, a business should make sure that they're wearing protective gear, that they're allowing 3 customers in. If you only could do curbside, you only could do curbside, and be appreciative of that, because some people can't do no side. So, you know, you got to be able to get in where you fit in, and we all get to the point, because if phase 1 do good, here go phase 2. On my barbers, hair salons, I talked to a friend of mine that sell hair today. You know,
nails.
They're coming. So
tragic.
You know, we got to work together on this. Ego's got to be aside. Positions got to be put aside, because we got to get right. I got to get right. So I got to make sure everybody else get right. That's just my bottom line in all this. It's nothing more, nothing less. I have a event planning company. There's no way I'm going to succeed if my fellow business community doesn't succeed. Point blank.
So, you know, some of the things that we've heard from people, I mean, you know, there's so much that we've heard from people over these past few weeks. They said, oh, church can open. I'm not going. I'm going to do bedside, you know, Baptist. I'm going to do church online. There are others. There was a debate on Facebook this morning where someone said, look, I'm getting ready to go out and buy some clippers. I haven't cut my hair, but my wife is going to cut my hair, and I don't know if I'm ever going back to a barbershop. And then someone else said, well, the barbershop is not at fault for people getting COVID. And they said, oh, well, there were 2 barbers that infected 140 people. They said, but it wasn't the clippers. It was the fact that they weren't wearing personal protective equipment and maybe didn't sanitize the shop. You know, so people are very anxious. There's a lot of uncertainty still, even though we know much more than we did in the end of February and the beginning of March, when this all really started to blow up and just take hold of and grip of all of the communities across the country. But we were one of the first hard hit communities really in the country here in Westchester, New Rochelle. First, you know, New York City and Mount Vernon, Yonkers, we were hit in that very initial wave. So many people are commuting back and forth every day. Mount Vernon is a commuter community. We have 100,000 people here who live here, but we have tens of thousands that commute outside of our community every day to go to Connecticut, New Jersey, New York City. A lot of them are taking public transportation. And so trains and subways are like an incubator for a super spread of this virus and other types of viruses that are well, you know, they're contagious. And so we have to be vigilant as a community and make sure that we're paying attention to where we're going, who we're interacting with, and most importantly, that we are using our masks or other personal protective equipment to keep us safe. Like I said, someone said, Miss Church said that the subway is the biggest incubator in the world, you know, the New York City subway, because you have thousands of people riding it. People are just packed in there like sardines, and there's just really no way to distance from people on a train or on a public bus or things of that nature. So we really have to focus on the health, and especially being a commuter town. And most of the housing that we're building near our subways for transit-oriented design. Our subways, not our subways, but our railways, our Metro North stations. We have three. So again, we're preparing for a commuter community. And we're going to have to make sure that we really, really do this right, really do it right. I took a 5-hour training. Last night, I did a 5-hour training through Johns Hopkins School of Medicine, talking about contract tracing and the spread of COVID-19. And what are the dangerous ways that it's spread? What are the super spreads and things of that nature? And while I did contract tracing for HIV, to kind of see how this works itself out was very, very important, and will help us as we review people's safety plans to give their businesses permission to reopen. We want to make sure that they have the protocols in place.
I mean, it's very, very important. And most business owners, they want their business back. So if it means wearing a mask, if it means putting up hand sanitizer stations, I mean, we want our business back. So I don't know a business person that wouldn't do that. Now, the flip side to it is that's a cost on us that we have to take on now that we didn't see coming up. We haven't been doing business for 2 months, 3 months. So that's a problem somewhere, but it has to be done. So my message to the business community is try to go online to figure out what grants you can get, what loans you can get. It's not easy. I watch my wife who runs the company, Double Door, but she's home teaching 3 kids now. So she can't follow the big companies that have 20 employees, 30 employees. They can hire someone to chase the money, where she has to balance 3rd grade math and chase bank. You know what I mean? So it's a balance that the business community has to hold on to, but just hold on. I mean, I wake up every day hoping this thing gets better. I know in your meetings sometimes you'd be like, oh, we're in a COVID world. And I'd be like, no, I don't want to hear that. Oh, I don't want to hear that. But it's reality. But at the same time, I want to hopefully over the next few months, we have a certain path that we know we can go down. You know what I mean? Waking up not knowing your path sometimes is a little shaky. You understand?
Well, sure. One of the things that I've observed, Mayor, is that from the very beginning of your administration, we knew that we had a lot of ground to cover in a very short period of time. So while COVID did throw all of us an 8-ball, none of us have emerged unscathed. We all know friends or loved ones, priceless members of our community who are no longer with us. The toll has been serious. From the very, very beginning, we knew that time was not really a friend of Mount Vernon. We are behind in so many respects. We have to get so much more done more quickly than other communities. So that's always been our mindset. And that's sort of kind of, unfortunately, maybe we wear it as a badge of honor, but it is kind of hardwired into the DNA of the Mount Vernon resident that we have. We always have, when we wake up and slap that alarm clock off in the morning, we know that time has ceased to be our friend from that moment on. We've got to get a lot done. So all of us are prepared to really get back to that mindset of let's get as much done as quickly as possible.
Yeah, I mean, we're excited. Today is an exciting day. You know that there's a couple more days that's ahead, and I look forward to helping our manufacturers get on board, our landscaping companies, our bus. We have about 5 different bus companies in Mount Vernon.
Yes.
So you're talking, so many jobs that are in Mount Vernon are no longer here because of this. So, but we're gonna be all right. I feel that the mayor always says in our meetings, it's opportunity to fix what needs to be fixed. Mm-hmm. So if your website needed to be fixed, fix your website. If the signage needs to be fixed, fix your signage. So when we come out of this, we look uniform, we look stronger, and we help bring the revenue that leaves Mount Vernon. It can start staying in Mount Vernon because people feel the quality of business which I know is high. As being the chamber president, I got to meet a lot of people who run a business in Mount Vernon, and we have high. You'd be surprised. Well, not you two, but people in the community be surprised of the effect the Mount Vernon business community has on the world. Right? I mean, I've signed papers for things to be shipped to Dubai when I was chamber president. I mean, things that I'm like shipping to. So we have a great business community, and I just look forward to being a part of making it even better and being a good fabric of it.
Absolutely. So when you were talking about these small businesses and people trying to figure out if they're going to be able to reopen and how do they recover, as part of Governor Cuomo's New York Forward strategy, he's created he set aside $100 million. $100 million for the New York Forward Loan Fund. And this is a fund that will provide loans to small businesses.
Yes.
Small businesses with a great focus on women and minority-owned businesses, small businesses. And you could not have been a business that receives federal COVID, like disaster relief funds or payroll protection program funds. So if you did not receive any of the money from the federal small business loans, then you can apply to the New York State Forward Small Business Loan Fund. And so not only, the other thing is that you have to have had, let me just make sure. Yep. So I was just looking at one of my notes. 30 or less employees and a budget of $3 million or less. And this is for small businesses and not-for-profit organizations. So this is really for small businesses. We saw with the federal program, a lot of larger businesses were receiving loans that were supposed to be allocated for small businesses because that's politics. Oscar Davis hit me up yesterday. He says, oh my God, after months of waiting, I finally got approved for one of the federal business loans. And that's because some of these businesses that received federal money are now turning their money back because they're embarrassed, really that they got for the only way you could say it is they got a hookup. They got a hookup and they received some loans that they shouldn't have received. And so now some of them through shame and guilt are turning the monies back. And so if you have applied to one of the federal loan programs, I would definitely encourage you to follow up and see where you might be in the queue now, because as people have turned back monies or people received a grant, but they weren't able to spend the money fully, they returned money. So there are people who are still getting notifications regarding federal loans. If you do not have health insurance, you can apply through New York State health insurance, and it is based on your income. The deadline for filing is June 15th, 2020, and you can apply for that insurance if you have lost your medical insurance, your health insurance within the last 60 days. And if you need emotional support, you can call the emotional support hotline at 1-844-863-9314. So, before we got hit with COVID, we were doing an entrepreneurial program here in City Hall that was free for people to learn more about small business loans, access to capital, doing their business plan, developing relationships, marketing, and just all aspects of running a small business. They've continued those classes and they're continuing to offer those classes online. And I'm sure we will be announcing soon another round of those classes. But we really want people to know that there are opportunities that are available to them. And we need people to avail themselves and take advantage of some of the opportunities. We are waiting on a grant to come through HUD for the city of Mount Vernon, and we'll have a few $100,000 available to give out loans to some of our small businesses here in the community. We're also waiting on another grant that will give us some emergency shelter grant monies that will help us keep some people who've been impacted and lost income, keep them housed and help them pay some of their back rents. So we are waiting on some monies to come down to us locally. And just to tie that back in, that's because of our census numbers. So if we don't respond to the census, we're not going to be eligible for some of this money that is coming into our community to help us navigate the waters of COVID and this new environment that we are operating in. So anything else? I mean, are there any kind of tips that you would give to business owners? Like we said, this is a time to reset. This is definitely a time to reset. Your stores are closed. Some of your businesses, most of your businesses are still closed. I'd encourage people to go in and start cleaning, disinfecting, sanitizing. There are some businesses that just have lots of clutter in their business. You might want to get a storage unit because our code enforcement officers in the building and the fire department will absolutely thoroughly be enforcing the codes for the city of Mount Vernon. So, we know there are stores in the community that just are not meeting codes, but those will be enforced. And then the higher level requirements of the COVID safety plan will be enforced. So don't wait for phase 2 to happen for you to go in and prepare your businesses. If you own a beauty salon, a barbershop, nail salon, you're doing braiding, go in and look at the physical layout of your store. Is there an opportunity to social distance? Do you need to remove or take out of service one of your barber chairs, or do you need to move the hair dryers around so that you could meet the requirements and pass the safety plan? Because on the day of phase 2 just opening, you're not just going to open up your doors and everyone's going to walk in and start getting appointments. So I would really encourage those businesses that are in phase 2 that you look and you go on the New York State website, that you pull down the public safety plans. We're going to be putting them on the City of Mount Vernon website as well, and start completing your safety plans and submitting them to us here at City Hall so that we can approve them, because it's only upon approval of a safety plan that businesses are going to be able to work. And I know, Steve, that you're working with some of the construction companies to get their safety plans in so that they can be raring to go. That is a requirement. It is the responsibility of these businesses to understand the environment that we're doing business in and go. If you don't know the answer, go Google it. Google it, go onto the website, hit a few links. And get this information. If you're running a business, if you're running a construction company, then you have to know what the new regulations are going to be around you running that and start moving towards that. Like I said, on the first day of the new phase that impacts you, you're not just going to be able to open your business if you have not done your due diligence as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, as a construction company, as a manufacturer. And we will be expanding our bandwidth as a city to ensure that we are enforcing those regulations.
Sure. And at the construction sites, Mayor, there are other regulatory agencies that the owners and developers are responsible to adhering to, whether they be OSHA, Department of Health. There are a series of workforce protection protocols that the owners have to implement. So those who did not see their work uninterrupted because they were an essential business in healthcare, hospital, or affordable housing construction, they've already gotten used to those. And those agencies will be out monitoring as well. So even for some of the retail establishments, the Department of Health and FDA, the Food and Drug Administration, and other agencies will also be monitoring to make sure that workforce protections are in place.
And if you are working for an organization or a company that is not valuing your health and you feel they're putting you at risk, if they're not hearing within the company, then there's always an opportunity for you to make a phone call and let someone know what's happening, and the different regulatory agency can come in and address your concerns. So, I mean, you also will have whistleblower protection. There are so many people that are just so afraid of losing their jobs that they stayed active in unhealthy working environments, and they became sick, and some of them became critically ill and some fatally ill. and died. And so we want to make sure that the work sites are safe. And to that end, here in City Hall, we're going through our own reopening process, and we have safety officers in different departments. Our human resources department did a training for those safety officers today. We are outfitting the building with, of course, the splash guards and the sneeze guards and all of the reception areas to make sure that we're protecting our staff as well as we're protecting the public. I saw a truck come today from the furniture store, Tri-County Office Furniture, and that was for the water department because they were increasing the height of their cubicles to make sure that the staff is safe and protected. About 30 of us here in the city of Mount Vernon government took some COVID-19 training and contract tracing training that was offered through Johns Hopkins, and more will be completing it over the next few days. So we're not asking for businesses to do anything that we are not required to do ourselves. And this is the partnership, and these are the things that we need to do to conduct business in this environment. And I have to say, because people and consumers are becoming more savvy, when they come into your business, and if they don't feel safe, they're not going to stay. They're going to turn around, they're going to walk out of your establishment, and they may not even tell you, look, I'm not coming here because I don't feel safe. So it's really, it behooves businesses to make sure that they are putting their houses in order and they're not waiting until the day that the business is supposed to reopen.
No, I don't think that. I think all of us is gearing up to whatever we have to do to make our business open. I know 99% of us are doing that because they have to be open. They have to take care of their families and they have to make money. And the economy needs the business. I mean, walking on 4th Avenue today, it sometimes it's like, man, you can't believe it. No one's out there. Like, never seen that before. So, or, driving by malls. But so protecting the people that come in, that's our number one priority. I know here, our crew has put together a plan that if we allow to open, what we'll do, how we'll hire, how we'll serve food. It's a whole, and we're going through that now. So,
right. And you're in phase 4.
And I'm in stage 4, but one, I tell you, if I don't do it, I need something else to do. So I just do it because I need to keep my mind off of things. But no, I want to be prepared that when it comes, I want to know that I'm in good standards. You know what I'm saying? And, I just want to make sure I'm in good standards. And my team and my wife, she feels the same way. She has young kids. So what she don't want for her kids, she wouldn't want for somebody else's kids and family. So, yeah, so she's on me about making sure. I mean, we closed down when the NBA closed down. Like, I remember I came to you and I said, I want to do Prom Expo. And we said, no way, Jose. So, I mean, I've been closed since late February.
Yeah. And that's real.
Yeah, that's a real thing for me. So, but, to my business community, just keep praying, be safe. And, we'll make this, we'll come through this. I mean, we have no choice but to come through this. So just keep on fighting. You're entrepreneurs, that's what we do. We fight. Business owners, we fight. And that's it. For me, the class of 2020, before I leave, all my entrepreneurs in class 2020, I congratulate you if I don't, not on this platform for the rest of June. So congratulations to the class of 2020. All the great entrepreneurs and business people that will come out of that class. I appreciate you and congratulations on all your achievements in life.
Thank you. So I just want to make sure I'm looking down because I'm on my phone looking at comments. Charnay Fair, who owns a barbershop and a barber school here, says, when we are clear to reopen, what platform will we be notified on? So Charnay, you are in phase 2. Your business, personal care industry is part of phase 2. Like I said, I really encourage people to continue to visit the New York State website. They have a whole coronavirus portal and a portal for businesses. We will also be putting some of those links on our Mount Vernon website. And we'll continue to, the governor is giving updates every day. So he's going to say, today was the first day of phase 1 for the Mid-Hudson Valley. The first potential day for phase 2, if he follows the 2-week guideline that he's put out, will be July 9th. I mean, not July 9th, June 9th. So June 9th might be the first day for phase 2 businesses to open. But as I've stated, in order for phase 2 businesses to open, you're going to have to file a business safety plan. And we're going to want to see that. You're going to probably have to file it with your licensing organizations, but you're also going to have to file it with the city, because it's really the city that's going to be managing this. I know people look at the federal government and what's happening there, and people are really enamored with the government, but you're also going to have to kudos to him. But at the end of the day, it's local city government that's going to have to carry out these rules, these regulations, and work with you to open up your businesses. So it's going to be a partnership with the city government. So stay in contact with the city government. Is there a date set for the restart of traffic court in Mount Vernon? The courts operate under New York State, and we have not received a date for the reopening of courts. So we do not know when that is going to happen yet. Some of the food bodegas do construction while cooking for customers. Nasty shop. Well, don't go there. Bottom line, don't go. If it's a nasty bodega, if it's a nasty business, why are you going there? Call the New York State and the Westchester County Department of Health. They license the bodegas. What we can't do. It's interesting because people have wanted Mount Vernon city government to expand to answer everything and every concern that they have. So if people are on the corner and 2 or 3 people are talking and they don't have a mask, they want the police to respond. And if the bodega has a cat in it, or they're doing construction, they want the police to go there. But if a shooting happens, on the block, then the police are busy dealing with social distancing in a nasty bodega. So, the residents, you have to empower yourselves. You have rights. Before COVID came, you had rights, and I would ask that you exercise the same rights that you had before COVID. If a business is not operating in sanitary conditions, then call the Department of Health. The Department of Health licenses these businesses, and it's the Department of Health who will respond and write them up, close them down, fine them. So really, if a business is not operating to standards, then call the licensing and the regulatory agencies, which usually starts with the Department of Health. You can also make a complaint to our office and we'll try and address it, but a lot of that is helping. Gala Lawrence, okay. I said, if you're witnessing that, don't eat there. Yes, someone said the rats, Darlo said the rats in the area of 3rd Avenue and 1st Street between 2nd and 1st are getting aggressive, chilling and on the sidewalks. And that's why alternate side of the street parking is back in effect. I got more complaints on my Facebook page today about alternate side of the street parking being in effect because people are still home and they're not working. But I said in the beginning, I said, okay, y'all want alternate side of the street parking to go away, but you can't complain if we can't clean the streets. And if you can't clean the streets, then you're going to deal with rats. We are an urban city. We are a densely populated urban city. We're right next to New York City. New York City has rats. Mount Vernon's going to have rats. A lot of communities have rats. And when construction is happening, rats are going to come. Rats are going to come out of the sewers. Our sewers are bad and broken. And so they're going to live down in there. And if we're not cleaning our streets and we're providing more garbage for them to eat, then they're going to come. So there has to be a balance. People are going to have to get up. You're going to have to move your cars. We are giving you the opportunity to park in school parking lots. This is something they've done. We're going to be reaching out to some of the churches and see if some of the churches that have parking lots, since the churches are not open right now, if they'll allow residents to use their parking lots. But I can tell you one of the first things that the churches are going to be concerned about are people going to walk in and have trip and fall claims because everyone is out of work and they want to sue right now. People are going to want to protect themselves against litigation. But The school districts are allowing people to park there. Like I said, we're going to reach out to the churches, but you have to move your cars. You have to move your cars. Bottom line, there's no way around it. We cannot have our cake and eat it too. Yes, people are out of work and you're not going to be able to pay tickets. So if you can't pay tickets, get up and move your car. Thank you very much. So David Gladman is saying that the comptroller's office told my wife today that they're only allowed to deposit a certain number of checks per week. And that's why the sewer tax that they've paid is not able to be deposited and cashed yet. Well, incredible. I can't say much more than that other than incredible. I've run a company for many years, and we had registration for classes and after school and camp, and would have to take hundreds and sometimes thousands of payments to the bank each week, and no one ever told us that we couldn't deposit. It's called check your mailbox, take the mail out, process the mail, and send someone to the bank. And that's just the bottom line. I'm not going to say much more about that. Just one more. I just want to see if there's any questions for you. Yes, on Friday, Talent, who is from Mount Vernon, is doing club census. So Talent and friends are doing club census on Friday night from 8:30 to 11. It'll be on my Facebook page, CMVNY Facebook page, I'm sure Talent's Facebook page, and a lot of people's Facebook page. So we're doing club census on Fridays because we're just really trying to encourage people, and we're trying to reach different audiences and get them involved in the census. Right now, churches are closed, so we can't get people to fill out the census at church. You know, we're not able to have street fairs and street festivals where we're able to get people to fill out their census. So we're trying to use creative ways to do that. So please join us on Friday night here for Talent and friends, who will be focusing on the census. Tamika Carson, if you're looking for ADA housing and you need some support around housing, there's also Westchester Disabled on the Move. So Westchester Disabled on the Move, if you go to their website or contact their agency, or Westchester Residential Opportunities, they will work with you around finding housing and locating housing and ADA compliant housing. So I would encourage you to reach out to Westchester Disabled on the Move or Westchester Residential Opportunity Program. So I think that's it. Based on our questions, I wanted to make sure that we didn't have questions for you gentlemen with all of your information and expertise. I wanted to make sure that I didn't skip over any questions that the audience had for you. But thank you so much for coming and being with us on this platform tonight. And Mount Vernon, please join us on Thursday. People are asking about summer youth employment and some of the programs that we're going to be able to do for the summer through recreation and community outreach. And we will do some more updates on Thursday about those programs. On Sunday, we will be inviting our school board candidates and our library candidates on Sundays with Sean so that they can talk about why people should vote for them. On June 9th, are the school board elections as well as the library trustee elections. Everything is being done by absentee ballot. There are no in-person polls that are going to be open for you to vote. So please check your mail because you should have received applications for absentee ballots. You really have to pay attention. People want you to ignore this and not participate in the democratic process. But please check your mailbox, and if you've potentially already thrown it away, then reach out to the Westchester County Board of Elections and let them know you're going to need an absentee ballot for school board and library elections on June 9th. On June 23rd will be all of the other state and federal elections, state assembly, Senate, and presidential primaries. We can't be asleep. during COVID. And people are hoping that we are so focused on COVID that we are missing out on the democratic process. I know people are enjoying Netflix, and I know that you're catching up on a lot of shows that you want to watch. We know people are Zooming all day for work. We know that parents have turned into school teachers. But I'm going to ask you to stretch yourself a little bit more and make sure that you're watching, you know, the different news networks so you can understand what's happening with voting in our country. We're going to miss out, and we're going to miss opportunity to elect people who are about our community and who are going to represent our needs and our interests if we don't do this. And we can ill afford to do this. So please pay attention, watch the governor's updates. As he does them at 11 o'clock, DVR them and program them. Or you could also always go on the website or on my Facebook page and look for his updates, because they are there. But we need people to become more active in pursuing information that you're going to need as we move forward in this new environment of COVID, where we're not voting in person anymore. Where elections might come and go and you miss it. We already have a low voting rate in our community. And trust me, there are many people that are counting on the fact that people will sneak right through these presidential elections and even our local school board and library trustee elections. So Mount Vernon, we look forward to seeing you on Thursday with updates and Sunday with some more updates. And everyone take care, stay safe, and God bless. Thanks, Steve. Thanks, Dwayne.
Peace. Good night. Stay strong.
Thank you. You too. Good night, Mount Vernon.